Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Welcome to this edition of the Halcyon Show. My name is Lorne Risley, host of the show. How are you doing? I think I will avoid the what I would consider to be my trademark tomfoolery on this episode for two reasons. Number one, it will save me for getting too animated as I record this because it's entirely too hot this evening. It's too hot. I can't deal with this heat, and I'm so happy that come the 20th, which is exactly 3 days, we hit the solstice, which means that after that point it gets shorter days, cooler days, and we inch ever closer to winter. Winter is coming, but before winter comes, change is on the horizon for UK battle rap. Everyone's retiring except for the ones that aren't, and maybe they're not retiring. Everything's changing, except for the stuff that isn't. Everyone loves Premier Battles' recent announcement about its upcoming format change, except for the ones that hate it, and except for the people that are on the fence about it. One thing is for certain, UK Battle Rap as we know it is changing. And I guess the question I'm here to answer in my own mind is that good? Or is it bad? Or is it just different? Now, of course, I reacted live-ish to the announcement after it was streamed over on Premier Battles' YouTube channel. Tried to unpack it in real time as best I could, but obviously that was just the nuts and bolts of it. That was just the what they were actually saying and trying to interpret it and further the conversation slightly. Having had time to marinate on it, and obviously I did some due diligence. I reached out to certain people to get some off-the-record answers, which I shall hasten to add will remain off the record, as to just generally how people feel about it behind the scenes. Some of the participants of it, some of the fans of it, other creators like me. Like, yeah, how do we feel about this? This is it's an intriguing and interesting slant on what everyone thinks UK battle rap is, what it should be, what it should represent, what it shouldn't represent, all the rest of it, right? And I think the interesting thing that kind of coaxed me into wanting to do a video about it today is because up until today, I've seen a lot of people joking about retiring, or maybe not joking about retiring. They're having fun with the Apex card and the sort of randomness of it and the potential, uncertainty of it, but they're also playing with the whole uncertainty of, are these guys going to be done? If so, maybe you want to buy a ticket because maybe this is the last time you ever see it in this format. And it's interesting to me because I don't know if that's necessarily the wisest way to go about it, because ultimately I think you still want people that follow battle rap as it currently is to come along for the ride with you in this new chapter. And so one of the things you'd want to do is foster a degree of goodwill with your current fan base that maybe aren't so hot on the idea that the format and the tournament that they're staging is not necessarily going to feature people that they A, care about, or B, believe in, especially in spite of people that they have grown very fond of and followed for a number of years. And so what I wanted to unpack today is like how I felt about it, because I think on the day I was very enthusiastic about it and just generally into it. I'm just going to do one quick thing. I hate this. I don't like the numbers on my screen when I do this. I prefer to just have the comments, and that's that. There you go. That's better. Now I can see when you're not. Because this is the thing. You should be, if you're not, you should be on the spaces with Ark and everybody else, because they're all discussing the card and they're having fun discussing it. This is going to be a slightly more, I guess, dry presentation, because again, I've had a few days to lament sort of what this actually means for me as a fan, but also as a content creator and as potentially someone that would like to consider that I've made some small contribution to the scene as a whole. But yeah, a couple of people that I spoke to expressed some quite varying opinions, ranging from excitement to lamentation to uncertainty to complete certainty. The general consensus that I'm getting from people that do not like this idea is that it's a dead cert that there are going to be mismatches that will invariably harm the presentation of UK battle rap as it currently stands. I don't know if you've watched football, Bayern Munich did a number on a team the other day, and it was not the advertisement for football that I think FIFA wanted the Club World Cup to be, in the sense of, well, look, it's a great opportunity for these teams, and they get lots of money, and da-da-da-da-da. And it's like, yeah, but they got hammered 10-0. How much of a tournament is it when there's teams that will walk it versus teams that are just happy to be there? Like, is that really the advertisement for football that you want it to be? And there's credence to this, because here's the thing with the platform that is most commonly pointed to when it comes to the success or potential success of the UK battle rap scene as it pertains to the modern day, which is Pen Game, which is, let's all be honest with ourselves, the clips that we saw initially, or at least I saw, okay, I'm going to stop saying we, I'm going to make sure I'm referring to my own fandom. My own exposure to Pen Game started basically with some drizzling shit fucking content. Like, it was shorts of someone just looking very sweaty and angry, saying some really basic, uninspired, really not that not that entertaining shit. But it caught fire because of how bad it was. And sort of the virality of current day content is that in order to make someone want to share your content, there almost has to be a reaction that's elicited from it. That's the whole premise of sharing reels and clips and things, is like you're sending it to someone to make them laugh, to shock them, to get them to agree with you. There's some sort of nostalgic value attached. Very rarely is a clip shared because of its innate awe or how skillful a person is doing something. Invariably, actually, I would counter by saying that a lot of the stuff that's shared on social media these days is fails. It's like when people fall flat, it's when we're all laughing at them. Hence why, even though Pen Game had to endure the notoriety of that for a bit, it is worth saying that they've now garnered an audience on the back of that, of the fact that people knew they were there. And so while I concede to the points that were made about the disparity between people that enter the tournament in terms of the skill level versus established performers or people that already have a notion and a certain level of skill versus people that maybe Premier Battles want to promote but aren't on the level in terms of their skill, but maybe have other attributes that they compensate for, like their charisma or whatever the case may be. The cold hard fact is Prem might have to eat crow for a little bit, no matter what happens. And that's kind of a scary prospect for Premier Battles. Imagine a situation where you can only really succeed in a viral way if something goes so bad that people can't help themselves but share it, or something is so cringe or so unbelievably uninspired it inspires the response that tends to get from clips like this. The alternative to that, of course, is that something that there is a story that permeates. There's a participant, there's a performer that comes into the fray that really garners a lot of support. Again, I'm thinking pro wrestling, but someone that really speaks to people in a way that the presentation of battle rap currently doesn't. But even with that said, Prem isn't really proposing an overhaul of the presentation of battle rap in a systemic way. I would argue that what they are trying to do is they are trying to serialize and compartmentalize their content to ration it out in a way that people know when it's coming. But again, remember what the plan is here. The plan is in order to repurpose Premier Battles as a production company. This is Briggsy's statement. They don't really want to see themselves as a live event company anymore. They want to see live events as an arm of a content or a production company. That's a different prospect, because as a production company, you need people to take notice of the thing you're producing. Doesn't matter how good it is, doesn't matter how much money you put into it, doesn't matter the kind of name value you attach to it. Whatever you're producing, you have to make sure people actually care enough to pay attention to it when you put it out there. And that's going to involve at least some degree of uncertainty. But that's the flip side. That's the sort of negative side that maybe I've been permeating on. But again, I keep coming back to this idea. And this is where, again, I'm going to talk against my own self-interest, because I'll put my cards on the table here. Covering battle rap has been a lot of fun for me. It's been very hard not being able to get interviews over the line recently, because the God's honest truth is, battle rappers have been some of my favorite interviews. notwithstanding the fact that I'm a fan of a lot of them. But they just tend to be quite down to earth, yet inescapably creative people with very interesting slants and different takes on things that just tickle me. Again, like Biz, having him on and messing around with his personality and having a chance to let him express himself in ways that maybe he wouldn't have done if he'd have been all business. Soul, he's another one that I had a lot of fun with. Even someone like Luna C, that one was a different interview because I thought it was going to be wacky and, crazy and silly things and all the rest of it. But it actually ended up being what I consider to be one of my finer interviews because I finally got to the heart of what he is as an artist and as a writer and as a creator. Talking seriously about why he does what he does. And these have all been incredibly enjoyable conversations for me to have. And I do still hope to have more of them. But here's the scary thing. Like, imagine if Prem takes off. Like, anyone talk to me anymore? Probably not. So again, I've got every reason, really, if you want to be mean about it, to sit here and slate it, and say it's a terrible idea and da-da-da-da-da. Because I probably have more of a vested interest in people staying exactly where they are in the sphere of battle rap in the UK because I have access to a large degree. I have some... notoriety, I guess, is the word at this point, because it's certainly not beloved. But nevertheless, I probably have more skin in the game than most to say, no, this is a terrible idea. No, you're ruining things and all the rest of it. And what about the legacy and da-da-da-da-da? However, I invariably find myself looking at it through the prism of a fan. And as a fan, it's difficult for me to not root for Premier Battles taking a gamble on this. If no other reason than because I think a lot of the criticisms of the plan ultimately come down to this notion of you can't change things because what if it's worse? What if you ruin it? What if you break it? I understand that, but my recent experience in my own career has taught me is, listen, man, nothing in this era of just fucking life, man, is guaranteed beyond what you are living in this moment. Literally, you can pick up your phone right now and suddenly there's an announcement that we're at war with Mars or some shit. The pound drops and suddenly a fucking loaf of bread costs you the same as a house. And just something as simple as, Premier Battles can't afford... Again, this is the crazy thing. As much money as they're probably about to sink into this, and it's a massive financial risk, and it's a credibility risk as well, because Don't Flop and No Loose Chat are right there in the wings if Premier Battles falls on its face and has to close its doors for whatever reason. It's a massive risk. But at the same time, if what they have said publicly, and if some of the stuff I've garnered privately is true, it's worth it because it would be declining towards nothing anyway. If interest is continuously dwindling and the people that you're hanging your hat on to bring in fans are more and more inclined to sit at home and wait for bigger and better opportunities that just are not coming due to the cyclical nature of the way that talent and entertainment is fed, they have to take a chance. They have to try and bring in new talent. They have to try and purposefully present them in a way that endears them to a new audience or a current audience that can be expanded. And they have to make sure that whatever they do as far as a success of both of those things is monetized. They can't afford just to go, we put in an amazing product and everyone loves it, but no one's getting paid still, because that then becomes the expectation of a fan base that, again, unfortunately at this point, is as much to blame for the stagnation of UK battle rap, because again, and it's a two-way street, I grant you, fans are not obligated to give Prem, Don't Flop, No Loose Chat anything. They're not under any obligation to. But a lot of them have become quite adept at just watching stuff on YouTube or catching clips of it or hearing about it on Twitter. And that's fine, except for Premier Battles is trying to run a business. Don't Flop, I imagine, are trying to do the same thing. I just don't really have any point of reference for Don't Flop because, again, I don't talk to her. No Loose Chat, I'll try and ask more about. I could probably ask more about some of that. But again, I imagine they're in the same boat because they still have the same overheads and running costs, i.e. got to rent a venue, they've got to make sure it's purposeful, they've got to make sure the costs involved are okay, they've got to make sure the battlers are all agreed, and they've got to eat the costs when things fall out and all the rest of it. But I suppose the thing that prompted me to sit and talk about is if I would be genuine again as a fan. I'd be genuinely gutted if Prem or just the guys who are threatening, for lack of a better phrase, to retire, can't find some way of bridging that gap. Because it seems mad to me that they can't find uses or utility in guys that have been around for so long and have such a stake in the scene as it currently is now. I just can't believe that Premier Battles would be that short-sighted or that flippant about people who have made a contribution to their business. Conversely, do I really expect a lot of these guys to stay retired if opportunities were to arise as a result of the success of Premier Battles shifting in philosophy? No. No. Because, of course, if Premier Battles opens its doors to new talent, the talent blows up and there's an interest in the product, for lack of a better phrase. But the platform or whatever Prem decide to announce themselves as a guys, are they really going to say no? I don't think so. I think, and again, that's with the greatest of respects. I'm not saying that there's jobs I've quit or not retired from, but left in the past because of, I wasn't getting paid enough, I wasn't appreciated enough, didn't see the opportunity there. If I saw that they had a great opportunity or a lot of money to offer for a job I thought I could do, would I say no to going back? Of course not. You'd be stupid not to. So do I think that I think what's annoying me about the conversation at the moment is this definitive term, it is or it isn't, it will or it won't be, I'm done, I'm not done. It's like, let it breathe for a second. It would be my first statement. Like, it hasn't even happened yet. And while I understand that there's this impetus to turn it Apex, the card that everyone's kind of focusing their energies towards as far as this sort of last hurrah for the current guard of UK battle rap. I understand that from a sales perspective, because it's a way of trying to get people through the door. It's a way to try and get a narrative in people's minds. It's a way to maybe motivate some of the battlers who are maybe a little bit lackadaisical with some of this stuff, or maybe thinking about bringing something that wasn't as good as they possibly could have cranked it out, unless it's pitched as, look, this is my last go around. I don't like the idea of saying that, because I don't like the idea of painting guys into a corner that they then have to fucking walk back later anyway. I mean, I've had to do that. I said I was done covering UK battle. I was like, no, fuck you, I'm done. Da 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 da. And then a month goes by, and it's like, man, I do miss talking about it. And it was fun at certain points. I've just maybe got to readjust my enjoyment of it. And I have, and I've gone back to enjoying it. I attend the events I want to attend. I watch the battles I want to watch. I hop on Twitter now exclusively just to catch up on what people have been saying in UKBR and what's going on. And, I suppose maintain a line of communication with some of the guys. That's it. I'm not really interested in fostering or in involving myself or permeating drama. I don't really, even though I suppose this could be construed as that. But I think it's an interesting wider discussion, quite frankly, because I think a lot of fans have wanted it both ways until Premier Battles laid it on the line and said, Briggsy specifically, and said, no, look, we have to make a decision about how we want to progress as a company now, based on the resources we have, based on the experience we have, based on the guys we have at our disposal, and what our vision for the company is. And yeah, I guess selfishly, I'm against it because, again, I'd be remiss if I didn't point out that, again, if Premier Battles becomes the definitive force in UK battle rap and by a significant margin, that's me done covering UK battle rap in any meaningful way, because it just goes back to me talking to you guys on a screen, which I don't think really anyone wants to watch. I don't think so. What I want to do, and I'm sure what you want to see, is interviews, is access to the guys that are making the battles happen, that are performing, that have legacies within UK battle rap. And that's going to be harder for me to do if the platform blows up. But at the same time, I would like to think that guys who are developing a fandom in UK battle rap, guys and girls, sorry, that are developing an affinity with UK battle rap or spoken word or poetry or whatever it is, and they catch this new thing that seems to be getting traction, has a buzz, has an excitement, has a definitive direction, has some creative clout behind it and a conviction to it. And that inspires them in a way that previous generations were inspired to a certain degree, because there's an opportunity there. I can't say that on balance that isn't the right thing for Premier Battles to do. Of course, a lot of this is still dependent on them sticking the fucking landing, and there's 1,000 million things that could go wrong in the interim period. I guess my 2 cents is I hope that Premier Battles heed the lessons of the past within their own business, but more importantly, heed the lessons of other companies that have attempted to do similar things, in terms of trying to take something niche and then modernize and distribute it to people that are then likely to share it. I hope they are cognizant of the fact that there is probably going to be a significant amount of pushback from people that are current fans of what it is now. But more importantly, like I said, in order to really blow up these days, you have to have something about what you're doing that makes people want to share it. And again, it's things that are shocking. It's things that are, ridiculous and absurd and sort of memeable. That's probably not going to be something good, or it's going to be something that's said or done by someone that probably knows they shouldn't. So you should just be prepared for that and utilize the traction when you get it and try and hopefully channel it towards something that's good. But I think the main thing I would be really concerned about is, I know that they're probably half joking, maybe not, maybe are. But it would be really sad if a lot of these, again, you've got Ark, I think he said this is his last battle this weekend. Biz either said it was or he joked that it was. Quill said that it was. Bobby, I imagine, would view this as maybe, sort of, if it, I don't know how much energy he would have for a tournament. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. I don't know. But I know that he certainly considers, and rightly so, considers himself someone with accolades and a legacy that should be respected, and going into a tournament sort of undermines that. Biz too, obviously former champion of the promotion. Again, that's the problem with having veterans and trying to amalgamate them into this new prospect. Because even if they were to commit to this, this format, you're asking guys who have historically been told you have to earn your place to earn their place again. And who wants to do that? I probably have a slightly different opinion, because unlike most people, I've had a pretty storied work career. I've started new jobs in new industries at new companies probably half a dozen to a dozen times. So starting at the bottom and having to work my fucking nuts off to get up the ladder by aptitude and just saying, no, fuck you, I'll work harder than you, isn't something I'm foreign to. And it's probably something I'll do for the rest of my life, to be honest, because it's the only way I really know how to work. I don't feel comfortable. I'm not comfortable being put in a position of authority and power and sort of told to figure it out from there. I like starting at the bottom, understanding the nuts and bolts, understanding where I fit in, where my utility is, what I can excel at, doing it to its best, and then I'll end up where I need to end up, so as it were. But that's probably because I've never excelled naturally at anything. I've had to work hard to get good at a lot of the stuff that I do. A lot of battlers have done the same thing, but it isn't as easy as just saying, well, look, just use that experience in this new format against these new guys. They come from a different era. It's going to be hard for them to adapt, even if they commit to the prospect. I reached out to a few of them to say, hey, listen, I would love to get you on to discuss it, but I think there's been a reticence to discuss it openly at the moment. Excuse me. Sorry. My flavored fizzy water. It's delicious. And I can't help it. Sorry. There we go. Sorry about that. But anyway. Yeah, I've been going backwards and forwards on it, man. I can't help but feel a tinge of sadness when guys say that they're going to retire, especially ones that I haven't seen. Like, I've never seen Ark perform live. Bobby have. Biz I have a few times. Quill. I think I've only seen Quill perform live once at Plug 3. Have I ever seen Quill perform live? I don't think so. But I've seen Gast. That was nice. But he's not going anywhere. Tony D. Oh, god damn it. I never got to see Tony D live. Oh, bummer. If this is Tony's, because Tony D might. In fact, let me pull the card quickly, because I need to just go through this now. Let me grab the card quickly. I currently have no viewers in this stream, so when you see this, you know. And I meant this, by the way. I tweeted this earlier, and I mean this when anyone sees this. I'm asking as a fan, someone get Tony or Ark or Quill or Bobby or Biz or anyone on the upcoming Apex card to get them on to... Because if this is their final hurrah, if this is the page of their chapter of this Premier Battles book that is now closed and Premier Battles move on to other things, like, I feel like they deserve the platform and the spotlight to really cut loose and be honest about it. Because if you're ever going to be honest, now's the time. But I don't know if anyone would want to go in to that extent. I mean, we'll just have to wait and see, I suppose. Anyways, let's go through the confirmed, because there are still 2 people that have yet to be announced, and today Premier Battles decided to have a bit of fun with the card, announcing different amalgamations of matchups, pretending that they were each the card, and they weren't, because they're just messing with them. So, Ark, Biz, Bobby, Koj, Maverick, Quill, Sean Cray, Slim Buck, Tony D, Viz, and the 2. Viz is still relatively young. He's accomplished a fair amount. However, I don't think I see him retiring anytime soon. Not in any meaningful way. I think he's again, it's probably a safe bet to say that he'll return in some guise, form or fashion. Let's have a look. So, Koj is an interesting one. I don't know if he's keen at first, but I don't know if he won't. He's got a competitor spirit to him. I wonder whether or not he would let the one-upsmanship of the situation pass him by, or whether or not he would, because again, he's a troll. You know, he's someone that enjoys eliciting and provoking people. Well, what better opportunity is he ever going to get than a crop of newbies to just fucking just bully, both fucking lyrically and fucking physically? Because again, if they're targeting younger talent, you know, they are probably going to be more diminutive in nature. Is Koj the kind of guy that's going to pass that up? I mean, maybe. It seemed on Briggsy's stream that he was emphasizing the fact that they want to refer people to Koj more as I don't know whether or not I'm assuming too much here, but it sounded like they're trying to position him as their social media focal point or talking head, pundit, whatever you want to call it. Let's have a look. Hylas is saying, do I think... No. It's clear. By the way, Hylas, thanks for joining me. I presume that the other thing is finished now. Because, like, if you're smart, you go over to their live streams and whatnot. But anyways, there's no way that's real. There's no way that's real. So, again, for clarity and for anyone that watches this in posterity, Briggsy and a few others have been dropping, like, again, made up cards with different combinations of matchups on it. The whole pitch of this card is buy a ticket now and you'll find out on the day not only who's battling who, but there's a secret battle that no one knows, or there's 2 people that haven't been announced that will be battling potentially. We just don't know who or when or what. And that's one of the main selling points of the card. So, yeah, I wouldn't... I think, again, partly it wouldn't surprise me if Briggsy has structured that, or whoever came up with the concept of the card has structured it in a way to get people almost familiar with the idea that it's a tournament style, in the sense of when those brackets happen, it's it's whoever wins. So there's any number of combinations of matchups that you're going to get as a result. So, and it's not determined by what fans want to see. It's who beats who. And it will present you with a matchup, and it will present you with fixtures where you start to consider the prospect of them. Maybe the card has been designed in a way to speak to that want or that meta path. Maybe I'm giving them too much credit. I don't know. But yeah, to come back to the point I was making, Koj's an interesting one, if only because, like I say, I think it sounded from Briggsy's stream that they're positioning him as sort of a pundit, or maybe their go-to guy for reactions in order to get traction for battles, whatever. It sounds like they have a plan in mind for him outside of battling. Slipped up though. He's Hylas, is that true? In which case, Ark. My friend. Because maybe I feel bad. He invited me to talk on the stream. I'll be honest. I was training at the time, so it wouldn't have been good ambience. Secondly, though, I've learnt my lesson. I don't talk on live spaces anymore because it's just no one wants to hear from me, and also I don't have a great track record on the spaces. So yeah, no, I'm not gonna say that. But anyways, yeah. I mean, if he's battling Slimbuck, I mean that's still be an interesting battle, because again, Slimbuck is one that you have to remember that Prem are trying to get behind him a little bit. They're trying to, again, incorporate him and make him another focal point of the quote. I don't know what they're going to call this beyond where. What do they say? Where winning matters. Is that the name of the tournament? That can't stay the name, right? I feel like where winning matters, the Where Winning Matters tournament. Yeah. I'm not crazy about the name. The concept and everything underneath it and the execution of it and the thought process behind it, magnificent. Yep, don't really take any issue with it, except for what I said about the amalgamation of top tier battlers. But where winning matters, I'm not sure about that. Yes, I agree, Hylas. But yeah, coming back to it. So anyways, so that's Koj. Quill. Again, Quill strikes me as the kind of guy that gets the bug. He gets restless. He wants to battle, but Quill's an interesting one. And he's someone I would really fucking love to hear. Like, he's not only a great promo, Quill is the closest thing we have really to a Chael Sonnen type character in UK battle rap, in the sense that he will just come out and say the thing. And he's got no real problems in saying stuff that most people consider controversial, because he has the ability to quantify a lot of it a lot of the time. Except the only difference I would say between him and Chael is Chael says a lot of shit that's tongue-in-cheek but passes it off like it's real. Quill doesn't have a habit of doing that. But my point is that Quill is another example of someone that Prem could utilize in a number of different ways outside of battling capacity to great effect. I feel like he's put in a tremendous amount of work, and I feel like as a performer, but also as a promo, he is incredibly dynamic, and he has so much conviction when he does stuff. But he also has that aloof, laid back outside of battle. He's very laid back and aloof outside of battles. I've hung out with him outside of the No Lose Chat event. Just chill guy. He's like everyone's big brother. You know, he's just there to make sure you're all right, really. And you having fun? Yeah, cool. Right. Who do you think's gonna win at the weekend? Like, he's a chill dude. But then you get him on stage, and suddenly he comes to life. He's one that maybe I could see retiring, in the sense of I don't know how keen he'd be on performing in a tournament where, in his mind, he'd be battering people. When I think he's another guy that really savors the challenge of it. He needs something to get him motivated. And so, is this his last go around for Prem? Yeah, maybe. I'd love to hear his thoughts. He did say to Pete, and I'll throw this out there, because he can't come back on this channel according to his own rules. He's not allowed back on until I hit 750 or 1,000 subscribers. I forget what it is. Otherwise, I'd have him on to talk about it. Unfortunately, it is what it is. So what are you going to do? So please, I am imploring anyone out there that has a streaming platform or a channel or some kind of outlet, get Quill on to interview him, please. I'd appreciate it. I'm looking at you, TMR. I'm looking at you, Cammy. Anybody else who's got a channel? Anybody else? Let's go. Sean Crate. That's an interesting one, because I know that he doesn't feel like he would suit the format. But if anyone could benefit from prolonged and sustained exposure, and if anyone could benefit from a tournament format against opponents that are probably a grade below him. And if anyone could be that crossover guy that Premier Battles could hitch their wagon to in order to break free of the niche label that Battle Rap has on it, you could do a lot worse than Sean Cray. That's all I'll say. I know that he is not considered like the most vicious, visceral, lyrically assassin motherfucker in the world. However, he shakes rooms. He's relatable. He's funny as fuck. He's clever when he wants to be. And I think he's proven himself against enough top talent in this current era to be considered someone that you could really get behind for the future. I really, again, that's probably my controversial take when it comes to this, because I'm just saying, it's the same with Caveman. He's another one that I just see as like Sean Cray, Caveman, Gus Buff. Those are three guys who, if I had a promotion tomorrow, they're the guys I'd want to have as my stalwarts. Those are the guys I always have an idea for. I always have something in mind for. See, Hylas has said it here. Sean Cray said on Twitter today he's done too, but I don't believe any of them. No. I don't believe them in the sense of, are they done battling? No. Because, I mean, what does it take to battle these days? You can just start a Spaces, Ethernet, Gas Buff series. Don't Flop will still probably run events at some point. No Loose Chat will still be hosting events. And I'm sure that, Raptor's making his appearance against Cray G for No Loose Chat in July, I think it is, which I'll be there for, by the way. And Hyla says there's no reason for him to stop. He's one of the few new top tiers from the past God knows how many years. Yeah, and I agree. And it's weird. I've kind of seen Sean Cray's career kind of come to life in real time. He's probably one of the few guys that I've seen. I don't know if it was his debut, but it was one of his earlier battles for Prem, Plug 3. And I remember meeting him after his battle had finished and being someone that wanted to go shake his hand and say, look, dude, I thought you did really great. I thought it was a fun battle. And to see how he's progressed, though, and to see what he is now as a prospect to Premier Battles. Again, think about it from this perspective, right? Premier Battles are not trying to sell to the current era of fan. They are not trying to sell to a certain demographic. They are now trying to appeal to as large a commercial audience as possible. Sean Cray is as relatable as it gets. Nice fella, good fella, uncomplicated, and I mean that in the nicest possible way. He's as close to a Lee Evans or a Peter Kay or a fucking Sean Locke or any of that brand of comedian that everyone just loves because they just fucking think he's funny and would love to have a beer with him and just let him be funny around you. You know what I mean? He's that type of cat, but he also has the skills to back it up. He's crafted a persona on stage. But the big question, like I say, if he said he's done, okay, we'll see how that pans out in the long term. But yeah, if they can't find a way to factor in someone like Sean Cray into this format or going beyond that, I see that as a mistake. I'm just being honest now. If I'm a promoter and you've seen what he's been able to do with what he's got right now, I'm just saying you could do a lot with someone like Sean Cray. Slimbuck is a prospect of sorts. He's in that new gen mold for me. We'll have to just see what he does. I think I've reviewed one of his battles, and it was good. I still need, but then again, I haven't seen his. I don't know who he battled on Prem, but I know it was very heavily lauded. I will get around to watching that one at some point. But he's one that I know Prem are trying to hitch their wagon to. So, and I think no doubt he'll either factor in the tournament or he'll be a focal point of people after the tournament. Who else we got? Bizzo and Bobby Rex. What do you do if you have to tell Bizzo Bond and Bobby Rex they've got to sit out for a year? Fuck me. I mean, number one, what does Bobby do with his title? Like, do they retire? Imagine a world where there's no battle rap titles anymore. Imagine that. Imagine Jem becomes the first person to never lose a title and yet not be a champion. Imagine that. 2 different organizations stripping because they just decide their titles are defunct. Imagine that. Wow. Again, something like that would be... Because again, Bobby worked long and hard to become a champion. And I think knowing... I know Bobby all right. I wouldn't claim to be one of Bobby's best friends, but I've had a lot of very good conversations with Bobby. He's a fucking warrior, man. He'd want to go out on his shield. He'd want to go out like fucking knowing that he was bested, because he would then be happy about the fact that the person who then takes the title is going to do as good a job, if not better than him. He wouldn't want to cede the title or anything he's earned to someone he does not see as worthy of it. He's a fucking warrior, dude. So I know that the possibility of dissolving the title probably wouldn't go down particularly well with him. And that's before you even get to the fact that, okay, so you're going to tell... I know that maybe Biz has a rap. As again, the boring thing with Biz never stuck with me because I always loved the intricacy of his stuff. But of course, I love Biz's story. And in a way, this tournament pays homage to him because his journey over the last sort of 4 or 5 years is as much an inspiration to what Prem are trying to recapture with that as anything else. This guy who effectively comes from obscurity, albeit with some skills, comes into a tournament that no one expects him to win, but doesn't just win it, wins it well, wins the title, or is he's granted the title. I'll put it that way, but then holds it and defends it and battles well and elevates his game and adds new layers to himself, becomes his own man in a lot of ways. Tournament's going to seek to emulate that in a lot of respects with guys who you don't know, but it would still be a crying shame if you couldn't figure a way of putting Bizzo Bond in the mix. But the question becomes, how do you do that? I don't think there's any way that Bizzo and Bobby are going to have the ability, just again, speaking as a parent, speaking as a full-time employee, and I'm sure both of these gentlemen are gainfully employed to provide for their respective families as best they can. Dude, it's hard work doing just that. Now imagine you've got to prepare for a battle every God knows how many weeks. Presumably until you win, you're aiming to win the tournament. Especially when both of them are used to being booked as the headliner. Like they're used to having the expectation and weight of a card on their shoulders. Now they've just got to worry about a performance that wins them, gets them through a round, gets them through a judge's decision. Yeah. It's rough. I guess the question, because I posed it in the title of this video, is this era over? Well, I must be honest, I don't think it is. I think that's why, even though it's sad about them talking about the prospect of retiring, I don't really think this is the end for battle rap as we know it now, because the truth is, and this is why, as much as I want Prem to succeed, I still have my reservations about it succeeding. A lot of stuff has to go really right for it to succeed first. Let's assume it doesn't. Let's assume that it doesn't gain any traction, that the tournament does yield some pretty lopsided decisions, some pretty lopsided results, some maybe laxity, because this is the other thing, right? Forget just one battler battering another. What if it's 2 guys that completely shit the bed? What if you get 2 guys that choke? What if you get 2 guys that just are uninspired, basic, really repetitive, just wooden, again, it's the fear I have about when people used to, a little while back when they were joking about the prospect of me, you should battle Lord. The one thing I was always terrified of wasn't necessarily choking. It's the silence when people aren't buying into what you're talking about. You know? When you're talking and you can tell that the person is just somewhere else. Imagine being surrounded by a bunch of people that paid to be there, and even with that incentive that they paid to be there, cannot be interested in what you have to say. Oof. That is a terrifying prospect, and could happen. Again, A lot has to go right for Premier Battles to reap the rewards of this situation. So is the era over? I'm not so sure it is. I'm not so sure that this won't be an experiment that ultimately doesn't necessarily yield enough of a result for it to completely catapult Premier Battles to another level or another echelon of the entertainment industry. Will it garner some storylines? Will it perpetuate or permeate some of the battlers within it? Will it help give a lot of them some valuable experience and a bit of spotlight? I think absolutely on all of those points. But in a year's time, or just over a year's time, when the tournament is either in its, once it's in its swing or once it's over, I don't know if we won't be right back here talking about the next card. I don't know. That's the problem. I think a lot of people don't know at the moment. So to say, well, I'm done, I'm retired, it's a bit premature because I think you don't know how it's all going to pan out yet. You don't know what opportunities are going to be afforded to you as a result of the success or failure of the prospect. I do understand that being asked to effectively, because again, I think they've structured it in a way to disincentivize. Yes, disincentivize. Sort of the top tier guys from participating. It could have a double-edged sword, but I think just on balance, I think what this just means is that a lot of those guys are going to be asked to sit on the shelf for 6 months. Just take a break for a little bit. Go away. Have a bit of distance from battle rap as it currently stands. Evaluate the scene as it progresses. Give us your feedback as and when you see it. And we'll see where we are in 6 months to a year. I mean, the thing I think that a lot of these guys are forgetting, or maybe not forgetting, but they're certainly not as cognizant of it, is they all still have legacies and cachet. What? Because Bobby Rex isn't in this tournament means he doesn't have a career spanning a couple of decades with a couple of hundred fucking battles and 1,000 accolades. Just because Bizzo's not in the tournament means he wasn't champion for the longest period of time in the history of UK battle rap. Because Tony's not going to be in the tournament means that he's not been performing to varying degrees within various entertainment spheres for the last 20 odd years. No, all of these guys will still have a legacy that is secured and honoured in the fans, and I think will battle rap be the same? Yeah, kinda. I just don't. I think the scene itself will change, that's for sure, because again, you're asking a lot of its participants to take a break for 6 months. Fuck. Do you know what? Fuck summer and fuck bugs. God damn it. I've got a laptop or a laptop bag I can hit it with. And I'm not using either one of them because both are expensive. Fuck. Anyways. Yeah. Hang on. What's that sound? No. Some loud wind outside. Anyways. Yeah. I'm going around in circles now. Let me try and find something that I missed from earlier, because I had a thought, forgotten what it was now. I will just reiterate the fact that the card itself, so Apex, and again the kind of the focal point of a lot of this conversation today at least, is Saturday the 21st. So this Saturday at the Hootenanny in Brixton. What I would suggest, by the way, if you're driving, you can park around the corner from it. And there's an Aldi or a Sainsbury's or something right across the street from the Hootenanny, so you can get something to eat before you go in there, and then just drink in the Hootenanny. It's good. I like it. Just don't walk up through Brixton because you might get lost. That's what I did. I got lost walking up towards the Shard when I went there last. It was fun. So, it looks like tickets are still available. So, and it looks like they're not letting you in through the door. So make sure you get a ticket. Let's go. Viz, everyone retiring is kind of taking the attention away from me, so I'd like to publicly announce that after Apex, I am not active or retired, but a secret third thing. There you go. Premier Battles when they were announcing the mess up. Smart ass Shannon has announced that the Apex sweepstake is £260. And apparently no one's guessed the card correctly yet, so there you go. Da-da-da-da-da. Everyone was really having fun with the whole card thing, weren't they? but this. Oh, well, okay, fair enough. Yeah. So Hylas, that's. I've got the tweet here. So Sean Cray, I know it must seem like baked promo, but this really is the last big event for the foreseeable future. I know I'm done after this one. So are most of the card. What is it? You don't realise you're in a moment until it's a memory. That's literally this Saturday. It's emotional. I remember someone, I think it might have been Shannon on the stream, saying that they're going to try and lock the doors of the Hootenanny and no one's leaving until they're all absolutely off their faces because of the raw emotion of it. They all seem to be retiring. Yeah, so. Again, just hope no one shits the bed and forgets. There you go. Shotty. Shotty's going to be in the building as well. So, TMR in the house. TMR, my friend. Good to see you, my friend. It looks at the very least that the card is getting a lot of... It's getting a lot of love. It's getting a fair bit of attention from a lot of the guys. If Shotty's going to be there as well, you know, there's going to be a lot of people that are just going to be happy to see Shotty, I suppose. So, yeah. I really don't see it as this massive turning point. I do see it as a turning point specifically for Premier Battles, but in terms of UK Battle Rap as a whole, again, man, you'll still be able to go to events on a weekend. You'll still be able to go into these pub-style environments, these club-style environments, and hear some cool guys say some cool shit. It'll still be the same. Because the fans make what Battle Rap is what it is, really, you know? And unless you're planning on changing seismically, I don't think Battle Rap really will either. Don't Flop invariably are going to stick their heads above the parapet at some point. No Loose Chat of a card coming in July, which again, I'm going to. So if you are going to be at No Loose Chat, you'll see me there. But yeah, you know, I've tried to stress this point, and I'll sign off with this. If before or after the event I can get a hold of any of the battlers that are on the card to be honest about how they feel, I'd love to host that, because I think we've heard from Prem, and we've heard from fans, and we've heard on the timeline what people are thinking and what they don't. Fucking moth. What I would love to see is an impassioned statement from a battler who is affected by this in a pretty direct way. I'm talking about the guys that are on this card. I'm talking about the guys that were booked on cards leading up to this that are not going to be in the tournament. I'm talking about the people that made my fandom of battle rap. You know, I want to hear from them. I'd love to host it. I'd love to have the platform for it. I don't know how many people would be willing to speak publicly on it beyond just saying, I'm okay with it, I'm not okay with it. I mean, I guess because since 4 people are watching this now, I'll ask you all. I mean, do you see 2? Haha. Do you see this as the end? What do you think? There's 2 of you watching right now. Both of you, tell me. Is this the end? Is this the end of an era? Tell me. What are your thoughts? I shall read them out. It's also worth pointing out that I think Crash is going to host something on Friday. I'll be on that, assuming he still wants me to be, and sends me a link. So I'm sure we'll cover some ground of this. We'll cover some of this ground on Friday as well. Come on, there's 2 of you watching. Come on, give me your opinions. I want to hear them. Let me know. Is this the end of an era? Is this the end of Premier Battles as we know it? Is the end of battle rap in the UK as we know it? Tell me. Is it a good? Is it a bad thing? Come on. Let me hear it. Come on. Raz Rain in the chat. You alright there, Raz? How are we doing, bub? Would you look at that? Xabi Alonso is taking his first manager as Real Madrid. Huh. God. I can't tell if Cammy's stirring the pot now as well. There's again, I will stress the point that I'm staying out of Twitter beefs and all the rest of that sort of stuff now. I do try and keep as much as I can for those that care. I am on Twitter now. but I'm trying to just use it for reporting purposes. I use it to share my stuff and battle rap stuff and keep up to speed with battle rap. I'm trying not to use it as my sounding board for when I'm pissed off about something or when I think something's hilarious. I'm mastering the ability to keep shit to myself, if and when I can. Obviously, notwithstanding these times where I have to go on camera and talk for an hour. But yes, come on, there's two of you watching. I'm assuming one of them's Hylas. So come on, Hylas, you've never been ashamed about giving me your opinion. One Raz Ren, former interviewee of this very show. What are your opinions? Come on, I want to hear from. I wish I heard from more people about how they really felt about it. Like, what do you really think about these changes? What do you really think about these proposals? What do you really think of the ramifications? What do you really think is going to happen? What do you really hope is going to happen? Like, what do you think? Because, again, I think on balance, it's a great idea. On balance, is it a risk? Yes. But on balance, do they have to take it? Yes. But am I worried about not getting to see people that I've formed a personal and fan-based attachment to over the last... Fuck me. Started watching battle rap properly in 2000, fucking hell, whenever it was. So we're talking at least 10 years. Yeah, it's a rough prospect. Having to then say, right, don't watch any of these guys anymore. Watch these guys. What do you think? I want to know what you think. What are we thinking? Come on now. There's 3 of you watching now. I want to hear your opinions. Give me your goddamn opinions. Tell me. What are we saying? I might have to beef up the media source on this so you've got something to listen to while I'm sitting here silently waiting for anyone to give me their opinion. Come on now. There you go. Should be able to hear it a bit more clearly now. Come on. What do we think? What are we thinking? I still haven't really asked if people like the idea of it. Do you like the fact that Prem is going to be formatting it? Interesting. Okay. So I'll read Hylas' comment because I think Hylas kind of represents where I think some of the trepidation or where people are trepidatious. And I see where he's coming from. I can see why they're doing it, but I think taking this long a break is going to see battlers and fans just forgetting battle rap exists other than pen game. It confuses me a bit, but I hope it works. Why do you think it would make you forget battle rap? Or who do you worry about forgetting battle rap then, dude? Because I don't know if I sort of agree. I sort of understand, because the thing I found, again, on one of my many hiatuses, is that unless you're on Twitter and you're aware of it, following battle rap's hard. I wasn't even aware of the Apex card really until very, very recently. And even then, obviously, if I hadn't been specifically paying attention the day that they made this announcement, I would have no idea that they're talking about this just being it for the next 6 months. But then again, like I say, I mean, the trouble we have is we don't really know what the fan base of battle rap is at the moment in terms of a scale. We know what the subscription is. We know what the viewership is. But both of those numbers are going to be skewed, especially when you look at Don't Flop, whose viewership is not what its subscription base is. Its subscription base is largely people that have subscribed, but now locked accounts, lost accounts, forgotten they're subscribed. You know what I mean? Right. Because we're all in the habit of watching new battles. But if we fall out of the habit, then we'll fill our time with new interests. Look how much content there is competing for... Yep, I completely agree with you, Hylas. I think one of the things that we do, I have a tendency to do, I don't know if anyone else can speak to this, but I do fill my time. And if something dries up, I tend to divert my attention to something else that feeds that need for content. Case in point, I for some reason I've been getting really into football tactics recently. I've subscribed to a couple of different channels and a couple of different subscription-based models to try and broaden my horizon when it comes to football tactics right around the time that the Premier League fucking wrapped. So of course content's drying up, so I'm already becoming bored. Wrestling is now re-entering my purview, as is battle rap. But I mean, Hylas raises an interesting point. I mean, it's habit after all, and Prem are asking people to take a 6-month break. So the question would become, are they planning on broaching that with something? How do you broach it with something? I mean, Hylas, I will concede, it's an interesting point. It's an interesting point. I think the reason I can, because I think you might have even raised this on my original stream. I think the bone of contention I had with your point is this notion that battle rap fans, as they currently are in the UK, are pretty ardent anyway. They're pretty hardcore anyway. And again, this is the other thing we have to acknowledge about the current state of battle rap, is when you go to a battle rap event, the people in the room are the participants more often than not, man. Like, when you go to a room of 50 people, 30 people are a part of the fucking event. There might be 20 fans there. There might be 30 or more. There might be a room of 100. But even in that room, you're talking about, you know, a pretty big disparity between participants and audience. So, again, I would argue that a lot of those people probably are going to be the first ones to pay attention the second it launches. But at the same time, I do have to concede that that's an interesting point you raise. I mean, Hylas, I mean, not that I'm saying this is an indictment. This goes to anyone else. Again, there's 3 people watching. There's 2 of you that still haven't given me your opinions. I want to hear them, please. Is this a good idea? Is this bad? Is it good? Is this over, as in your fandom, for this current era? Like, come on, give me some thoughts. Let me know what you're thinking. But I think what I would ask Hylas is, what would you fill it with instead? What would fill the niche of battle rap as it is right now? Again, the reason I come back to battle rap, I'll be brutally honest, is because there's nothing quite like seeing a battle kick off and it deliver. And what I mean by that is when someone says, right, you should need to check out this battle, and you do, and it's that perfect combination of execution, crowd reaction, the elation on the face of the people in the crowd, the confidence as it rises within the battlers, the exchange of a good battle when it goes backwards and forwards, and one guy's reaction elicits as a response, and it gets the real conflict of a proper battle. There's nothing quite like that. There's nothing quite like that when you get properly invested in the story and the back and forth of a battle rap. I don't know what else fills that void, man. I don't know if I really don't. If there's anything else that fills that void, I don't know what it is. But yeah, well, I mean, we'll see. I mean, I filled it. I mean, this probably makes Hylas's point, actually. I mean, I filled mine with other things like just gaming, number one. Just got really into gaming and reading. And that's about it, really. Reading a book on philosophy right now. I mean, it's the little book of philosophy. Granted, it's only 180 pages long, but I'm learning shit. I'm learning that one dude thought that the universe was made of fire. They wrote a book about that guy. Fucking hell. I've had some stupid ideas in my time, but yeah. A guy who thinks the entire universe is made predominantly out of fire didn't look at water and think, might be a problem with my theory there. But come on, there's 3 of you watching now. Come on, tell me, what do you think? What is your thought about this? What do you see as the pros? What do you see as the cons? Who do you think is going to be in the tournaments to come? Who should be in the tournaments to come? Who are you going to miss if they retire? If this really is the swan song for a lot of these guys this weekend, if they really are signing off, at least for the foreseeable future, you are not going to see these guys for the next 6 months to a year. And just like that, 2 people fuck off. This is why I hate watching the numbers on streams. I get too wrapped up in the fucking numbers. I've still got nothing I can hit this fucking moth with before it flies away. Anyways, I've been rambling for an hour. But here's how I'll sum it up. Because, yeah, it's funny how, Ark talking about retiring and Tony talking about retiring and Sean Cray talking about being out of the loop for a while. Biz talking about it. And you bet that there's a lot of others that are going to feel exactly the same way. Yeah, there's a tinge of sadness that comes with that if they really mean it. Do they really mean it? Well, that's the thing. Time will tell. We'll just have to wait and see. And since my concurrent viewer count has ticked now down to 0, I'll sign off with this. Is this era of battle rap over? I don't think it is, but I think it has to be. I think we've had 10 years of battles being released on YouTube, rooms of 100 to 150 people that you usually see over and over again, the same sorts of storylines, the same sorts of executions, nothing ever really changing. Something had to give sooner or later. And so while this era, I don't think it's over, because I still think that No Lose Chat and Don't Flop will pick up the pieces if it all falls apart, and in the interim we'll be only too happy to run events in lieu of Premier Battles to pick up the potential lapse fans that Hylas is referring to. I think this era has to change. I think it has to modernize. I think it has to move with the times, and that will invariably involve a degree of sacrifice, at least on the part of some of the people that you and I as fans have come to really, really love. That doesn't have to be a long-term bad thing, but it is a short-term sacrifice that we're all going to just have to take on the chin. Premier Battles are going to have to take some shit on the chin in the interim period too, and whether or not Don't Flop want to admit this, Premier Battles' enduring success has probably benefited them as much as anybody, because it's kept the interest in UK battle rap alive. Without Prem, and to some extent No Lose Chat, where would Don't Flop be right now? You know, their catalogue would be a nostalgia piece rather than, you know, a channel that is still to a degree producing content. Remains to be seen what will end up happening with Don't Flop. But will UK battle rap ever be the same? I hope it isn't, because again, I come back to this notion that I want battlers to be successful doing what they do. And right now, the money isn't there, the infrastructure isn't there, the fandom isn't there. There isn't a way to monetize what they've done up until this point in a way that would be lucrative enough for them to justify it. So I think it has to change, because if there's going to be a future for any of them to any successful degree, things have to change. So they might have to take some time out in order for them to come back in a renewed role anyway. I can't see what the last question I posed was. Hang on. What was the last question I asked? Oh, is this Prem's apex? This was me trying to make a witty remark. Prem probably has already had its high point as far as its current incarnation, because of course it had a period of time where it had, you know, the winds of change behind it when it started. And they're still promoting a lot of changes to it in order to revamp the presentation style of it once it goes live. It's difficult to see if this experiment is going to work. It's difficult to see how, just by being consistent and by formulating it in a way that people understand, hopefully, doesn't mean that they'll necessarily get invested in it, and certainly doesn't mean that they're going to get invested in the people that they're going to ask you to follow. I mean, the closest thing that you might want to draw comparisons to in terms of how they're trying to do things is, if you're old like me and you're a wrestling fan like me, the Cruiserweight Championship, the Cruiserweight Classic that WWE instigated, where it's like, listen, we're going to get all these guys, you've never seen them before, you've very little exposure to them, all young, hungry, underappreciated, but super talented, super exciting, super performers. And some of them had great stories, and some of them, but where are any of them today? And it wasn't through lack of trying. It's just that sometimes you need things to catch fire on their own. And that's what I'm saying about how I view what they're trying to plan versus, again, just the simple nature that in order to get noticed in this era, you have to go viral. And in order to go viral, you've got to do something you probably don't want people to see or share. So I've given my 2 cents on this. I'll throw it out there again that I would love to talk to anyone that's directly affected by this from a battling standpoint. I'd love to talk to someone at Premier Battleside. For the record, I have reached out. I will just disclose that to you because I feel it's only fair. I haven't heard back. I don't think they're all that interested in discussing it. Not necessarily just with me, but I just don't think they're that interested in just discussing it at any length for any meaningful period of time now. So, and that's probably fair enough because, again, there's a lot that they're probably still trying to work out in their own heads, and blabbing stuff out to me on a podcast probably isn't at the top of their list of priorities to get done. But I suppose what I want to say is that to the battlers that are going to have to step aside for the time being because of the formatting and because of the demand that they're placing on Prem are placing on battlers, just know that your legacy doesn't go away as a result. And speaking like fans like me, I still watch old battles all the time. I still have favorite battles. I still have favorite rounds and bars that I quote. That fandom will not dissipate. And all I hope is that as a result of Prem's gamble, that there's a platform for you guys to return to in 6 months to a year time with a renewed vigor, some energy, having had an extended period away to kind of recalibrate and sort of re-energize and sort of look longingly. It's just kind of like, no, I want to get back in the game, right? Use that vigor and come back even stronger and better. And so the newbies that are going to be asked to pick up the reins in lieu of the quote top tiers, do not fuck this up. Do not underestimate the opportunity that's being placed in front of you right now. Grab it with both fucking hands and make sure you seize that opportunity to the best of your ability. Don't disappoint us. As fans, Prem is asking us to give them a shot. And by extension, they're asking the battlers that are going to participate in this tournament to do the same. Do not underestimate how fickle the fan base is going to be, because like it or not, they're going to be expecting big things now. So you better be prepared to bring big things. And we'll have to wait and see how it pans out. But yeah, I think I'll leave it there because I've rambled for an hour. I think I've given my 2 cents as coherently and incoherently as I can. I want to say thanks to Hylas for keeping this a conversation, not just me rambling to myself. TMR, thanks for dropping in. Razren, thank you for dropping in. I appreciate you all as always. I will be back next to react to the rest of the No Loose Chat Protocol 5 card that I didn't finish the other day. So I will get a thumbnail made and I will schedule something. Hopefully the stream's been a bit smoother today because my laptop just seems to be working better, so yay. Again, Crash is saying he's going to host something on Friday, so if that actually comes to fruition, I'll be on that, so hopefully you can see me then. Otherwise, if you didn't see this live, I still want to hear about what people think about this, so please feel free to reach out to me on Twitter, feel free to leave me a comment here, or DM me or email me, I'm not hard to find. And yeah, we'll see how it all pans out. Regardless, though, I hope everyone has a great time at Apex at the weekend. Sorry I can't make it. Long story short, I'd have to drive down there and I'd have to get a ticket. I currently do not have a ticket, and I imagine I won't be able to get a hold of one before the weekend. I also don't like driving down by myself. I also don't like going to events by myself these days. If I'm going to go to an event, I'd like to go with someone, just so I've got someone to talk to, so I'm not sat there by my Todd. So anyways, yeah, so I hope everyone has a great time at the event. I hope it isn't the big Que Sera send-off that everyone worries it's going to be, but if it is, have a great time. I'm sure it'll all be fine in the end. This isn't a sick form leavers party. It's just a change. It's a development. It's an evolution, as it were. We'll see what happens. But yes, in the meantime, thank you very much for watching. I hope you are keeping as well as you can be this week. I hope you're taking care of each other as best you can. Like I say, you'll see me again in the next day or two when I'm streaming No Loose Chat, and then potentially again on Friday. So again, you won't have to wait long to see me. But yes, I'll wrap it there. So thank you very much for joining me on this edition of the Halcyon Show. Please like, share, and subscribe. Check out some of my other videos and indeed some of my other interviews. I'll do my best to get more interviews through the door, but it remains to be seen if anyone actually wants to talk to me these days. I mean, it's their choice, I suppose, but I will keep pushing. I will see what I can do. But before any of that, take very good care of yourself, and all being well, I will see you on the next episode of the Halcyon Show.